Welcome back to the Ing-Lit Hit. Today we return once again to our series in Ozymandias. We will focus on lines 5 and 6 in this video. Here's the line. And wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read. If any line in the poem encapsulates that sense of radical anti-establishment politics that Shelley was such a keen proponent of, it is this. And wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command. You can almost hear it, can't you? Paul Foot, an investigative journalist and long-time member of the Socialist Workers' Party, called Shelley Red Shelley, and tracked links between Shelley's political poems and the rise of Marxism in the 19th century. Karl Marx himself was said to have drawn inspiration from them. Here, Ozymandias' hubris is exposed. His arrogance, and later his defiance of other leaders or even gods, "Look on my works, ye mighty in despair," is captured in a facial expression that seems almost satirical. Think spitting image puppets of Margaret Thatcher and Michael Foot. Think the cartoonist's exaggerated impression of Donald Trump. There is an underlying irony here, though. The haughty personality with which we are presented could not have been the pharaoh's intended outcome. Rather, it is the sculptor who has made a mockery of his master. The roles have been reversed, and the sculptor exploits Ozymandias' naivety in order to satirize and ridicule him. It is ironic, therefore, that what does yet survive amongst the decay of that colossal wreck is a facial expression that epitomizes Ozymandias' false confidence and conceit. The cruelty of autocratic regimes, the glory of extensive civilizations, the pride of victorious leaders will cease. Their influence will diminish. They will fall. This is the pattern of Marxism. As Karl Marx put it, what the bourgeoisie therefore produces above all are its own gravediggers. Its fall and the victory of the proletariat are equally inevitable. Mr. Birling represents the same broad class of people. While he is not a ruler like Ozymandias, his downfall is marked by his inability to see sense, pursuing his egotistical ambition at the expense of the working class. Mr. Birling is his own gravedigger. Ozymandias is his own gravedigger. It is important to note once again that Shelley is implicit in his expression, and so the onus is on the reader to interpret the ruler, who is depicted first by the sculptor, second by the traveller, and third by the speaker. We should recognise then that as fourth-hand recipients, bias muddies our view of things. And whilst on the one hand this reinforces the fact that human power, Ozymandias' power, is ephemeral, this also leads us to consider how perceptions can be distorted over time. However hard one tries to create one's own legacy, history has a way of making a colossal wreck of this. It is clear that Ozymandias was a repugnant figure, and this is reflected in both the language and sound of this line. The plosives that carry through the line, and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command, is audibly cutting and almost sounds like an obscenity. The repetition of "and" makes this seem like a never-ending list. He is a reprehensible character, and it is all captured in this fragmented statue. While his kingdom perishes, his arrogant persona persists for now in this humiliating state. The synesthesia, the merging of more than one sense, of cold command, fuses the temperature, cold, with what is audible, command. We're reminded maybe of Dickens' description of Scrooge. "How now?" said Scrooge, caustic and cold as ever. This word cold is not often, if ever, used in a positive light, and this is no exception. So, we see in these two lines Ozymandias' fate confined to a sculptor's impression of him. The sculptor not even being one of the mighty the pharaoh scorns, but a lowly servant instead. Is Shelley the sculptor? Is his statue, this poem, a lasting elegy, a radical statement that will transcend the power and influence of political empires? Or should it, the poem, too, resign itself to an inevitable demise, lost amid the GCSE poetry anthologies, and, maybe one day, left to gather dust on the upper shelf of a neglected cupboard? If you liked this video, please subscribe below.